Hey, everybody, welcome to Buffalo Plus. Mike Catalana, along with Jenna Cottrell, and in Orchard Park at Bill Stadium, Dan Fetes, who was at practice today. Let's start with the practice. Dan, my assumption is the Bills are so good at 2-0, they don't need to practice. They gave everybody the day off. Am I right with that?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what Sean McDermott is thinking. No need to worry. The first thing I noticed was when I walked out of the field, Trey White was in a red non-contact jersey. So that kind of sparked a little interest in my head. But then going through practice, Trey White did exactly what he does on every single Wednesday. He went one-on-one with Stephon Diggs during those drills late in practice. He was working with Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde like he always does in the jug machine and with defensive back coach. So no real concern there. Ed Oliver, he was running off to the side. There were a couple other guys, Zach Moss, and as well as Taron Johnson. But besides that, Matt Milano, Tremaine Edmonds were both in jerseys. Edmonds was still in a red non-contact jersey, but it was good to see at least both of them out there. And it looked like Milano was a full go. He had a regular blue defensive jersey on, so good signs there.
But other guys like, Cole Beasley, I saw that he was sitting out stuff and all. Is this seem to be in this weird season, maybe the theme, maybe Wednesdays, just like ramping things up and giving guys a little time off?
Yeah, it's interesting because Brian Daboll said how important their one padded practice a week is, and this is their padded practice. But I also know from talking to other guys around the locker room how much Sean McDermott may seem like this strict his way or no way policy. He is much more of a player's coach. He listens to his guys. So this could be simply Beasley saying, I just kind of want to take it easy today, and they listen. So that's one thing you've noticed as this goes on is this could just be a maintenance day, especially. These guys are ramping it up. This wasn't a preseason. These guys are probably more sore than they've been in close to a year, and it's just probably just mitigating that. As Rex Ryan famously said, I'm no doctor either, though. I just want to put that out there.
Jenna, we know Josh Allen won, the Player of the Week, which is great. Sean McDermott was asked about it, and he was asked a question about if his worries about Josh Allen's progression were unfounded. I think we found out what the answer was.
Yes, Sean McDermott saying his worries are never unfounded. It's a word though. It's like, wow, okay. But no, I think it's through week 2. We saw Josh play very well against the Dolphins as well as the Jets, but now it'll be a real challenge ahead against this Rams team that's also 2-0. And I think, of course, while Josh has looked good, at the same point, there's a long season ahead. And if we know that anyone talks about like staying the course and not getting overexcited, it's certainly Sean McDermott.
Yeah, you think maybe, Dan, he's in full regular season mode in his news conferences?
Absolutely, especially now that they're 2-0 and him saying, he's ready to turn the page. He's already done with the 2 wins. He's already focused on the next opponents. But you talked about how Sean McDermott was so concerned about the lack of 500 reps between OTAs and minicamps and preseasons. And he was asked earlier in the year about how much Josh Allen's progress worries him. He said it was the number one thing that kept him up at night. I think he's slept pretty good the last 2 weeks because Josh has exceeded expectations. And here we are talking on a Wednesday, heading into week 3 of the NFL season. And Josh Allen is the leading NFL leader in passing yards. So that's not a joke. There's no joke at the end of that. It's just a fact.
Yeah, what was interesting in his news conference, Jenna, is normally Josh and the offense, even though Sean's a defensive coach, there's usually concern about the offense. Even in week 1, he turned it over, or they're not scoring enough points, as someone famously asked them, or whatever it is. Today, it was more like, Josh had a great week, and aren't you happy that he's so good? I know it's only 1 week, but that's a real change for what we hear normally, the questions for McDermott.
Absolutely. I think he was only asked maybe 2 questions about Josh when normally it dominates his press conference. His questions are about Josh. Can he hold on to the ball? All of those types of things. So I think it's definitely going to make it interesting. Now he has to be able to continue that to follow up his performances for Josh. But yeah, the fact that we're not asking about the Bills offense and had more questions about the Bills defense is a very different heading into week 3.
Well, it's interesting too, guys. Isn't it funny how we've talked a lot about Josh Allen silencing critics? I think there have also been critics on Josh Allen when it comes to Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott. They were the one that drafted him. They were the one that traded up. And don't you think they're both kind of sitting out here puffing their chest out a little bit like, told you, like he was a project, like it was a process. But look at this process now. It's interesting that the dynamic isn't, hey, Josh is struggling. The dynamic is Josh is really good, and McDermott gets to go, yeah, but we're going to keep going.
To say, I don't feel like it's in Sean McDermott's nature to puff out his chest.
But he wants to. He would.
If
he beat one of us in wrestling, he'd puff out his chest.
Well, speaking of that, I think one reason you're not puffing out your chest coming into this week is that guy they're going up against this week who can wreck a game plan. And, you ask Sean McDermott, what is it about him? Is it his lateral movement? Is it his speed? Is it his technique? Is it his power? What makes Aaron Darnold so good? And the answer is
he was a wrestler.
Wrestles.
Aaron Donald. Yeah, I said Darnold. Aaron Donald. Yeah, he's a wrestler. Was he a wrestler?
Yeah, we're still trying to figure that out. We're still sleuthing and having our fact-checking team look into when exactly he wrestled, which weight class, all of those things. We'll get back to you. Check back on BuffaloPlus.com. But what I want to get at, guys, is watching a practice today, teams keep things very close to the vest. As of right now, they shut practice. They pretty much go through the same reps every time when it's open to the media. They ran a lot of quick passes today. They were running, a lot of bubble screens, like mimicking those things. And I don't think it's any secret as to how you can prevent Aaron Donald from sacking a quarterback is throwing the ball quickly before Aaron Donald can get in your backfield. So I think that's something definitely to look out for. And it's a really nice thing when you have Stephon Diggs, who, Josh Allen has the most passes over 80 yards this season. He may not throw a whole lot over 80 yards this week, just with how good Jalen Ramsey is and with how much pressure Aaron Donald can get right up the gut. Don't be surprised if it's a lot more shorter, quick passes. And for having a guy like Stephon Diggs, who can not only go deep, he's also a really crafty route runner in between near the line of scrimmage.
Now, I said Darnold instead of Donald, and I think you said 80-yard passes as opposed to
20-yard passes.
Oh, okay. All right.
So let's just think of it as 4 20-yard passes.
Exactly. That's where I was at.
Is that sunshine getting to you a little bit there?
A little bit.
By the way, it is interesting. The Eagles played the Rams last week, and coming off an 8-sack game in the opener, I don't believe Carson Wentz was sacked last week. Maybe they got him right at the end because they got rid of the ball quickly, and that didn't allow Aaron Donald to make those kind of plays, but it also prevented them from getting the ball down the field, which becomes much more difficult if you're getting the ball out of your hands quickly. No matter how good your wide receivers are, it does change a game plan. That's what the Rams are going to try to do to the Bills. Quick passes on time and doing that. So it's an interesting thing. And Dan, when I asked Brian Daboll about that, I said, you do things well, but then you get in that chess match and you don't want to get away from what you do well just because they know that's what you do. So I think that's what's going to be interesting this week.
I think you try and find out their weaknesses and then you try and exploit those. But again, Mike, you said you're not going to change your identity or what you're doing well right now. I think you keep the ball in the hot hand of Josh Allen, but I think you're right. I think there are more screen passes. I think there are more passes inside of 5 yards to try and mitigate that pass rush moving forward. And you're probably going to have to get the running game involved a little bit more this week, knowing how good Jalen Ramsey is. He didn't allow a single reception against Philadelphia last week.
I do have a question too. Like, this team is 2-0 going into this week. There's a possibility of going 3-0. They started last season 3-0. Like, what is the vibe at practice? Because a lot of times, is it very buckled in and very much like full speed ahead, or is it kind of more relaxed? I'm just curious as to what that is.
It's fun. It's fun. There's no other way to describe it. Matt Barkley threw a pass, and when they were doing the one-on-one drills, and it was pretty much caught, but one of the defensive backs ripped it out late in the drill, and all the defensive backs started celebrating and running down the field. And the only guy on offense that chased him down was Josh Allen, who wasn't in the drill. And so Josh went flying down the field to tackle a guy that really didn't mean anything. And it was just that sense. You've got Stephon Diggs dancing with Gabriel Davis. It is a laid-back atmosphere here. And I tried to ask Brian Daboll about that on Monday, about just how much fun are you guys having? Because not only they're not winning 16-10, they're not winning 13-12. They're winning by scoring 30 points a game. And Daboll, from the school of Nick Saban and Bill Belichick, said it's only fun if you're winning. and they're winning. And so
but-
then they're having fun.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They've been practicing like that all year, right? It didn't change because they're 2-0. They've been a pretty loose team, but it's different with coaches. You know, the game ends on Sunday, right? Say they beat the Rams. They win that game. The players take a little relax. They get out. They go with their family. They eat. They have a little whatever. Coaches start grinding on tape right away. I mean, that's the life of an NFL coach. You know, they really don't have fun. It's not fun. Does he enjoy scoring points? Yeah. Like, they'll get it all set up because they want it set up for the players the next day. They break down that tape. But no, they don't have fun. I think Daboll may have, you know, he's having fun mixing the pieces.
I think
He
Daboll
has fun on FaceTime with his fat face. That's what he has fun with.
It was your turn to say the fat face line.
Got it.
It obviously should be Jenna's time to say that, but, you know, we'll let that one go by.
People who don't know what that is, John Feliciano said that Brian Daboll FaceTimes him with his fat face.
And speaking of Feliciano, he had that answer for you too, right?
Yeah, he was great live tweeting during the game was incredible. He celebrated and said, my boy slid when Josh Allen slid in his first rushing attempt. I asked Sean McDermott, you know, do you want to see your guy slide? And before he answered that part of the question, he answered the fact that he wishes that Feliciano was playing right guard or left guard, which was an interesting comment, instead of tweeting during the games. But he said, quote, something along the lines of, I guess that's what the guys do these days. Like classic old man dad.
These darn kids. By the way, even when he's making the joke, he's not going to give away by saying just right guard because they got some interchangeable parts. He doesn't give anything away.
So on brand.
Yeah, it is. All right, Dan, great stuff. Dan's up there. He's got a story that'll be on Buffalo Plus about Josh Allen, what Stephon Diggs is doing. Plus, you can hear all those interviews. Our podcast is live. It's a good one this week. The 2-0 Bills, the Josh Allen experience. Check that out wherever you get podcasts. And also in this format here on our YouTube page, the Buffalo Plus podcast. All right, that's going to do it for all of us now. Keep tuning in. Keep subscribing. Keep liking. Keep leaving comments. All those things as the kids do. For the kids, Jenna Cottrell and Dan Fetes, I'm Mike Catalana. Thanks for watching.